All right, welcome everyone. Hello, welcome to another Tattle webinar. My name is Isabella. I'm the head of marketing here at Tattle, and I cannot wait for this conversation today. With me, we have four panelists, actually. Samantha joined us as a surprise guest, and we'll be talking about Beyond Surveys, the winning guest feedback strategies for 2025. All right, before we get started, for those of you who are not familiar with Tattle, just a quick word on who we are. So we are an improvement-focused guest feedback platform built just for hospitality businesses. So using our all-in-one platform, you can manage all private and public feedback within the same dashboard. And you can drive store-level improvements with one of our new features, the AI Coach. So as you can see, we work with over 250 brand partners. You can see some of their logos here. So we have a very long proven track record in boosting guest satisfaction, retention, and revenue for restaurant businesses. And we integrate with pretty much most restaurant tech tools out there. So if you want to add Tattle to your tech stack, it should be pretty effortless. Some admin stuff, you will be receiving a recording after the session, and you can send in any questions throughout the session via the chat function, and we'll try to get to them at the end of this conversation. All right. Now I would love to turn the time over to our panelists so they can give us a quick round of introductions and we can know them better. Chris, do you want to kick us off?
Sure thing. Thank you for the invitation, and I appreciate being able to be with everybody. I am the leader of the Learning and Development Organization here at Miguel's Restaurants.
Awesome. Tanya?
Hi, guys. It's so exciting to be here. I am Tanya McCoy. I am the VP of Marketing for Angry Chickz.
Awesome. Nick?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Excited to be here as well. Thank you, Isabella. I'm a Senior Operations Manager at Prince Street Pizza.
Hi, Nick. Hi, team. How's it going? My name is Samantha. I'm the Director of Training Development here for Prince Street. So super new, excited to be part of this and really learn from each other. So thank you, Isabella, for hosting.
Love that. Thank you all for joining us. We are so excited to hear from all of you. I guess I'll just get straight to the point. So how do you measure guest satisfaction at your respective brands? And what's one tactic or tool that your brand is using to truly understand your guests in 2025? Who wants to get started?
Yeah. Chris, do you want to jump in or?
I always say ladies first, so I'll let.
All right, Tanya, I guess that's your cue. Tanya, you can go first.
Okay, I'm going to say that at Angry Chickz, we use Tattle as that key metric for really understanding what our guest experience is from, and I just lost my AirPods, so I'm just going to keep going. But really measuring everything from like food quality to like speed of service, looking at those overall scores and then digging deeper to see if we see any trends. And that's really what we use it for. So it really helps us identify what's happening at specific locations so that if we have an opportunity from an overall training standpoint to help increase sales and obviously make our customers happy, that's what we use it for.
Beautiful. Chris, do you want to go?
Sure. So we're kind of new kids on the block when it comes to tools like this. And so we are not even 6 months in. Part of the reason we wanted a system like Tattle was to be able to get enough feedback to be able to make actionable decisions in operations. And we took the tact of trying to focus on one or two things for our operators rather than having them feel buried. And so our focus has been overall CER score and then a focus on accuracy, since that's a place we know that in the quick serve industry, we need to be very good. And so we've used accuracy as the main focus. That keeps our operators from feeling buried. And that gives us a good way to measure how things are going.
Mm-hmm. And CER is customer experience rating, the metric that Tattle uses to measure overall guest satisfaction, just FYI. What about Prince Street Pizza?
Yeah, so we've also been new to using Tattle. Before, we've been mainly relying on Google and Yelp reviews. What's great about Tattle is that it gives guests the opportunity to be completely honest and candid with us. It gives us some opportunity to expand on their experience. And of course, with the metrics, it goes, down by down item of specifically food quality, time of the order, hospitality experience. And so it gives us just more granular details that helps us, of course, improve our business model.
Samantha, anything to add? Or
no, because I'm new to Prince Street, so I think being in previous concepts, we've had other platforms where we've been able to kind of assess the customer interaction and how that correlates to revenue, sales, and training. So being really new with like 3 weeks in, it's been a phenomenal platform, and Nick has done a really great job of introducing it and explaining it. So having to be part of this has been really exciting. So there's been a lot of key takeaway information that he's presented from Tattle. So I think it's really, really nice to gauge our business.
That's awesome. I mean, everybody tries to collect guest feedback. So I guess any tips on feedback collection? How do you get people to actually give you their true, voices of their customers? Chris, you want to go?
Sure. Yeah, for us, again, trying to keep it simple for the operator, we used small flyers, quarter-page flyers that we were providing to the guest in the different channels, whether it was dine-in or drive-through. We're a 65% drive-through business, so we want to make sure that guest is heard. We've also tied it to our hospitality program. So we talk about recommendation, and we try and refer to everybody that enters our building as a guest. So we teach and coach our front of house team members and managers that wouldn't you want your friends, your guests, to tell you how they felt about an experience they had at your restaurant? And that made it easier for them to make that ask. And so we've had pretty good results in terms of the volume of feedback, and it's remained consistent without having to use an incentive like a free something yet. We're still 6 months, 7 months, so we'll see, but that's been the strategy so far.
Love it. Do you echo this sentiment or any other strategies that you can share? Tanya or Nick?
Yeah, I mean, at Prince Street, so our guests get that automatic notification after 2 hours. They'll be prompted to share their experience. And then we're also printing branded and laminated flyers at our cash area, so guests can be incentivized to leave their feedback, good or bad. So that's what we currently do.
Right. So we're also using our receipts. So we print out a QR code on our receipts. They can just scan the QR code. It goes into Tattle, and then they can give us guest feedback that way. We've also used some table tents with a QR code on it to get guest feedback while they're eating in our restaurant. But just like Chris said, a lot of our business is off premise. So the receipts and the emails and really working with our third party to make sure that we're also getting those people into Tattle for feedback is all very critical.
So it's really a combination of both online and offline strategies. The automatic emails and SMS helps, but also you want to have that in-store presence so you capture omni-channel feedback in that sense. Love that. All right, here's a tough one. And it's probably a question that challenges a lot of operators. How do you actually translate guest feedback into an action plan at a location level or a regional level? What's your process? What are some challenges? What have you seen working? Who wants to start first? I mean, Nick, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. So I just moved into this new role. I oversee our LA and OC markets. And so I'm in direct communication with all of our GMs, AGMs regarding direct feedback from these guests. I'll try to look for common themes or common trends. So if a specific restaurant is getting the same feedback regarding long wait times, or maybe there's too much garlic in one pizza, that is a good indication that obviously I can send out kind of an email blast just to them and say, hey, look, this has happened multiple times. This is something we should probably take in consideration and change. But yeah, I'm extremely hands-on with all of my managers. And so any type of critique or even good things, obviously, we always share the positive as well. I'm in direct communication with them.
every day.
Yeah.
He does it every day.
Right.
It
That's
really
right.
is maniacally focused about delivering just a great hospitality experience. And I think that really translates into our GMs. I think being involved every day and, whatever process you have, it really translates to the team. And then their AGMs and then their shift leads and like that conversation gets sparked. So yeah, he's in it every day.
Yeah, and the most important thing I've noticed, I mean, obviously you just have to be fast. The faster you respond, the better you can mitigate a bad situation or win that guest back. And so they always really appreciate it. Sometimes I'll get back within 5 or 10 minutes, and they're truly shocked.
And Samantha, don't you also print out both positive and negative reviews?
Yeah. I think Nick and I are gonna I think doing a couple of the stores that are probably recurring opportunities that just keep kind of coming up. And so but we always want to hear the positive. In the restaurant industry, everything's negative, and we know what we need to work on, we get it, but highlighting the positive, shouting out the team member, really making it a big thing and have everyone see it, sign it, praise. Can we do a little, contest where we have like little $5 Starbucks gift card? Like, what are ways that we can keep our team motivated to really have them take pride in putting their name in, hey, my name is so-and-so, leave us a review. So it's just making it really fun. We got to make it fun. If not, then, then it's pulling teeth. So, yeah.
Yeah, I always say, the name Tattle might sound like negative, has a negative content, but there's a lot of positive reviews coming in, and that's really good for team morale. And I love what you're doing over there at Prince Street. Chris, what about you? How do you bridge the gap from feedback to action?
Yeah, and I'll say this is probably a little bit deeper, but one of the things we learned about the way the dashboard works that we've been able to use is our restaurant leaders are expected to work, especially GMs and AGMs are expected to work multiple shifts, days, mids, evenings, weekends. And we lost that a little bit on the operations side. So we had some restaurant leaders finding their favorite shifts and working just mornings or just afternoons. But the day part analysis of their feedback was showing a gap anywhere from a half to a full 3/4 point. And so we utilized the day part analysis when we re-engaged that requirement to show area managers when they went back to their restaurant leader, and they could say, look, you're a full 3/4 points difference between when you're here and when you're not. Mm-hmm. We've already seen those gaps closing now that we have restaurant leaders operating at the different times of the day during the week. And so it's shown an improvement just being able to show them, hey, see the difference when you're here and not here. And so that's been a great way to utilize the aggregation of survey data and make an actionable plan to show why an operator should do something a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I love that. Super insightful. Tanya, what about you?
So from our standpoint, it's really important. I agree with what Nick and his team said earlier about focusing on the positives too. It's extremely important to focus on the positives, because if we're only focusing on what's going wrong in our restaurants, then that's not good. It's not a healthy environment for anybody. So from our standpoint, we have our district managers and our restaurant leaders, and they're all in the Tattle platform, so they can see all of those reviews that are coming in and address those as quickly as possible. So initially, when we started working with Tattle, we thought that our timeline for response would be closer to like 72 hours. I wanted to give a little bit of flexibility. My goal was to respond to every customer within 24 hours, but I wasn't really sure if the team was going to be able to do that. I feel like if a customer has a problem at our restaurant, the quicker we handle it, the more likely it is that we're going to recover them. So I am extremely pleased with our team. They have done a phenomenal job of staying on top of all of that feedback that we get and responding back to our customers quickly. I think right now we're at about 12 to 13 hours for a response. That's the average. But I mean, really just setting that expectation, because we've all been on the opposite side. Like on this side, we're the company, we're the restaurant. But when we're the customer, we want somebody to acknowledge what our issue was and address it as quickly as possible. And then we'll come back. It's when you say you have an issue and you don't hear from anyone ever, or it takes a week or 2 weeks to get any sort of response, that you start losing customers. And what we all want to avoid is, I think I read a book somewhere where it said one person that has a bad experience, they're going to tell 10 of their closest friends. Those 10 people are going to tell, 7 additional people along the way. And what you want to do is stop it before it gets to that second phase of 10 people.
Yeah. Good word spread, bad word spread even faster sometimes. So absolutely. And I have to say, 12 to 13 hours, that's really impressive. Like you can easily see those metrics in the dashboard, and I don't think most of the time I don't see something that impressive. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to ask more about that later, but I love that. All right, for a little story time, what was one unexpected insight that you uncovered from guest feedback? Could be an individual one, could be patterns that you're observing that led to a major shift in operations or training or even marketing or anything it could be. So if you can think of an example, that would be great.
One big thing that we are really trying to push in 2025 and beyond is, great hospitality and then also accountability amongst our teams. But in regard to hospitality, one of our survey questions is, were you warmly greeted when you walked into the restaurant? We try to pride ourselves in having a big, cheerful, welcome in, welcome to Prince Street. And so we noticed through these Tattle feedbacks, a lot of our guests were not getting regularly greeted. And this had us kind of take a introspective look at how we're operating. And due to that, we ended up bringing in an outside hospitality team consultant group, and we've actually been incorporating them into our current training. And we've been rolling that out at current restaurants, and we are folding it into new materials as we roll out into new spaces. And so that was a pretty big shift on our end.
I love that example. Like depending on your business priority and focus, you can customize the survey so you can measure exactly that area. Love that example. Chris, what about you?
Probably the example I just provided was the most interesting to us, but I think that relates as well to the quarterly report that we get, where we saw not only day part, but by hour a day, our biggest opportunities, and they tied very closely to the way our leaders run their restaurants. So that's enabled us to focus on having a strong bench for our mid-level manager or our shift supervisor. So that's caused us to put a lot of focus on making sure that that program is well-founded and that there's a focus on developing that skill set, because that's the leader who's in the restaurant when your GM and AGM have taken a day off that they so desperately deserve. And then the other thing that we learned that we expected, so I wouldn't say it was unexpected, but it helped drive our continuation of the understanding that our guests know that cleanliness is paramount. So being able to see that our restaurants regularly receive extremely high scores on cleanliness has caused us to say this continues to need to be a focus. And cleanliness can never be second choice. It always has to be top of mind. So we've continued to develop tools and processes to allow the operator to focus on cleanliness without it being too much trouble, too much challenge. So that's enabled us to keep that near the bottom of that operational category opportunity, and one of the highest scores that we receive next to hospitality.
Yeah. Another great example of like knowing exactly what matters in your brand experience and really like focusing the feedback collection around that. Actually, Chris, the quarterly business review you were talking about, is that the one that Tattle provides you with a more in-depth analysis? Mm-hmm. Do you want to just like quickly talk about what typically are covered in such a presentation?
Yeah, so for our leadership team, from our CEO down through the other directors and VPs in our organization, we get a quarterly review from our Tattle rep. They'll come to an hour meeting and we'll deep dive on all the different areas of the business, much more detailed than any of our leaders are going to spend time in the Tattle platform, because we know they're all very busy folks. So it's great to be able to provide that insight with the expertise that comes with the Tattle organization. And it has spurred conversation about operational, technology, process, compliance conversations. have all come out of those meetings, and it's been a really good conversation starter for us.
Awesome. Yeah, like guest feedback really touches every aspect of your business. Last but not least, Tanya.
So one of the big key takeaways for us, I mean, when we first started using Tattle, it was all new information, but third-party delivery and how we're handling those orders and just streamlining that pickup process was a big one for us. So that's always evolving, and I think it's going to continue to evolve because I don't see third-party delivery or takeout ever going anywhere. I think what we're seeing right now is going to be kind of where we're at. So looking at the big picture from that standpoint, how can we better train our crews to make sure that, we're double checking those orders? Because with so many going out the door, order accuracy also becomes an issue. It's not just the process for them to pick up the order, but also when they get that order home, does it have everything that they ordered? Because that also plays into these reviews. So I think all of those things they've presented us with food for thought and opportunities moving forward.
Yeah. And you can act on sort of data and evidence, not just gut hunches of, oh, I think we do well here, not well here, but you actually have proof. That's awesome. I think we briefly touched on this, but I'm curious to dive in a bit deeper. So how do your teams at different levels, so be that corporate, regional, or unit level, interact with feedback differently, and how do they use a feedback tool? Like, what are the different roles? What are the different expectations at your respective brands? Nick, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So, similar to what Chris was saying, all of our GMs and AGMs receive the Tattle reviews. Currently at this time, I'm the main person kind of engaging with Tattle, but this is a responsibility that I'm trying, hard to pass the baton on to the GMs. We are still a very small restaurant group. We have less than 15 locations. But obviously, as we grow, we want those managers to take more ownership and be more hands-on with their guests. Our CEO and owner also receives every single Tattle. So you can imagine the types of text messages or emails we receive depending on the candidness of these reviews. And so everyone here at Prince Street is very involved in Tattle. Like, they have access to all those reviews and to all the information. And then again, right now, it's my sole duty to work with my individual teams to make sure that feedback is taken into consideration and we can make actionable change at the restaurants.
That's really cool. Well, it's definitely not typical of every brand for everyone to receive every single feedback, but it's definitely one way of using it. I love how involved the whole team is. Chris, what about Miguel's Jr.?
Yeah, so I was thinking about whether to say it was naive of us to believe that our restaurant leaders could respond, but I think it came out of the confidence during the RFP process that we felt like these leaders could. And so we launched with the AGM and GMs receiving all incidents, 1 to 3 star feedback, and responding. Tanya, we're not quite at 12 hours, but we are just under 24 on average. So we felt like that was pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
But I think one of the greatest sort of sentiments about this platform from an operator was being able to have pre-written responses for them has been a gold mine in terms of their perception of the way this platform works for them. So always trying to have an operator focus whenever software is developed and launched in a system like this. When we launched it, I don't think we expected to see that positive feedback from them. But then we realized through the first couple of review cycles of how's it going, that we were asking them before Tattle to respond with their own chosen words to a public review. And I don't know about all of you, but I'm not a journalism major. I had to do it for a few days when one of our internal leaders on vacation, and I panicked. I wasn't sure what to say. I don't want to make him more angry. So our restaurant leaders felt that having 3 or 4 templated responses based on the type of review, whether it was hospitality, food quality, speed, accuracy, they love that. That has been a huge benefit to them. And I think that's part of the reason why they're so successful at responding quickly. And then the other thing that I think for that role is the use of rewards, so predetermined rewards, and the ability to offer them. We're asking them to make an offer minimum 80% of 1 to 3 star incidents. So we feel like that's the best way to get the guests to at least understand that we've heard them and we want them back. And I think that's also produced a really good result for us at that level. And then, not to be overly wordy, but on the flip side, we try and avoid sending anything to the CEO unless it's a summary report. So Nick, I understand your pain. Out here, there are a million things to do in our organization. So we try and provide summary, but we do give them full access. And so occasionally we'll get that. What is this? Can you help me understand that? Be open and transparent.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I was actually a journalism major, but I would not be able to write from scratch for every customer. I would panic. Yeah. So yes, the AI responses and the templated responses are very helpful. Actually, I'm curious, Chris. So you mentioned rewards. And you mentioned 80% of 1 to 3 star feedback typically will get a reward. So how do you make sure the location level teams are using that responsibility properly, not overgiving, not undergiving? What's the policy around rewards in general?
Yeah, so because and I'm sure the rest of the panelists will have a similar opinion, I think, we expect our operators to run that business. That 4 walls is their business to run. They know that rewards come to their P&L at the end of the day. So we've coached them on what the right levels are. We give them a few different levels of value. And then the area managers on their periodic visits will always check to see you had 120 incidents during this period. You offered 80 rewards. Here's the types. They can also see on that dashboard the percent of redemption and the amount of money spent on return, so they can see the value. Our operators are notoriously cautious about giving too much, as you would expect. It's their P&L. So that is its own natural guard against overgiving. We've had to actually nudge them toward giving more rather than pull them back.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Tanya, what do you think?
Okay, so I'm going to, Nick, I also feel your pain because when we initially rolled out Tattle, everyone on the leadership team was also getting all of those comments, which was a little overwhelming. We since changed that so that those monthly roll-ups go to a much smaller group, and then we will highlight on occasion, whether that's, if we see anything that really kind of needs to be shared with the rest of the leadership team, we'll share it as it comes up, but usually quarterly, there's that quarterly report, which is always so helpful. And also, Chris, when you were talking about those pre-written responses, man, that's really been a game changer for us and really helping it on the store level so that those restaurant leaders and our district managers and our director of training, they have all the tools there so that they can respond to those customers immediately. It takes it off of having someone in our support center who is trying to manage all of those. And because they're responding to that feedback, and we've made it easy for them to do that, they're also seeing what that feedback is, and they're paying attention to that feedback a lot more because we're not automating the system for them. We're giving them the tools to set them up for success. And they're going to learn some great things along the way.
Love it. I'm just curious, does any of your brands sort of tie GM or store operator compensation to their guest feedback or guest satisfaction levels? Why or why not?
So Prince Street, we're actually in the process of rolling out kind of like a bonus program for our GMs. And we definitely are going to be looking at reviews as one of those metrics. I think it's perfectly fair to judge a store based on their reviews within margin. Again, with public forums like Yelp and Google, people can it's very one-sided, and I think it's important to take that with a grain of salt. But at the same time, if an operator is consistently getting, over 4.5 stars for a period of time, they should definitely reap the benefit of that. So much more in the mindset of how do we reward than how do we punish? Because as we've all been there, I started as a cashier at Prince Street, and I've been a GM and a senior GM. I know how challenging this job can be. We're all very boots on the ground here at Prince Street. And so I don't want to do anything to disincentivize our GMs or make them feel bad in any way. We're really here to support them because they are the lifeblood of our business.
And to piggyback off of that, I mean, having been an operator myself and running, my 4 walls, having a structured program where it was a factor into my, my P&L and my bonus at the end. And I took ownership of it. So, and then we train to do that with, anyone we're training or, multi-unit leader, and you take pride in it, then your team sees it. So I think the program that we're working on now, incorporating that as a metric, is very achievable. And that kind of changes the mindset of how you really own your 4 walls in your business.
Mm-hmm. And you coming from your own experience of having done that, like, exactly what a GM will care about. Get
the contests out. Let's go. Late night, here we go. we're doing it together. So
wonderful. What about Angry Chickz or Miguel's Jr.? Is that part of the plan or not? Yeah, Tanya?
So we recently rolled out a bonus program, and it does include a portion of that's tied to guest feedback, which is a very critical component of the big picture. So when you talk about the big picture, the one thing that I find that's really interesting, which is good, it's in a really good way, is we might get a 1-star from somebody and their complaint is, hey, I ordered this specific spice level, and it was too hot. So they gave us a 1 because the spice level they picked was too hot for them personally. And it's interesting to me because in a good way, because we'll get the message back from the restaurant leader saying, hey, I don't think that this should count against me because they picked it. I didn't pick the spice level for them. So it's not anything that's going on in our restaurant. And so the biggest thing is just making sure that everybody knows, hey, we're averaging out. It's not one specific one that's going to take you down or take you out of this bonus, this portion of that bonus. It's just a snapshot overall. How are you doing things in your restaurant? And don't worry about the small things like that because we'll account for those.
Yeah, over time with the volume, it averages out. But yes, the feedback does come in. Some are within the control, some are not. So that's a very real example. Yeah, I'm sure every brand experiences that. Chris, what about you? What does Miguel's Jr. do about that?
So first, to speak a little bit about CER score, the overall rating, that's the great pitch for us to say more feedback is better than less. But if you don't want that one odd out of my control, so we have that issue sometimes with online ordering platforms or 3PD, the delivery driver issues. What we do for our scorecard that our leaders are bonused on is accuracy score. So we're using that for the first half of this year. Since that's not tied directly to CER or overall sentiment, it gets less influenced by that. And since our brand, our guests modify their order roughly 70% of the time. So for us, accuracy is critical because our guest is asking us to change what's on the menu regularly. And so that's been a great way for us to focus our operators on that and also allow them to be less worried about the 1 or 2 reviews or feedback surveys they get that were out of their control. I still get that, Tanya. So, hey, can you remove this feedback from my dashboard? It's not fair. Our pitch back to the operators, we need to know what they're saying. And obviously, we're not holding you accountable at the granular level for one piece of feedback. But accuracy has been our focus. We'll stay with that probably through the second quarter, and then we'll evaluate. What we've been doing, though, about accuracy, so I reached out to other people in the industry since I'm a little new to this, and they said if you're going to focus on accuracy, you should always be watching speed of service. Those two have a lot of tie. If your accuracy is getting much better and your speed of service is getting much worse, you need to take a step back and make sure you're not overworking one area. So far, so good.
Right. Yeah, it's a very fine balance of dialing things up and down. Yeah. Awesome. One more question. Looking ahead, if a restaurant operator could only focus on one thing to improve guest satisfaction starting tomorrow, what would you recommend? That could be an area of focus like Miguel's Jr. does. It could be a tactic. It could be a tool. It could be mindset. It could be anything. Like, what is one thing you think that should be top of mind for restaurant operators moving forward?
Okay, I'll go. If nobody else wants to go, I'll go this time.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Please.
say the most important thing is just being engaged in what's happening on the restaurant level and really knowing how your teams are operating, what they're seeing in the restaurants, and what your customers are seeing in the restaurants. I'm a big believer in, we have this guest feedback system in place, but also the whole secret shop thing. I feel like anybody that's part of any restaurant business should feel like at any point they could go into the restaurant without any logo stuff on and experience like a customer and take that feedback too. I mean, if it's an unannounced visit, then I mean you're going to get some really great nuggets there of things that and ways that you can enhance the overall guest experience. And so I would just say engagement, always.
Yeah. It's a people's business. You interact with people, you want to be there. Yeah, I love that. Nick, Samantha?
Yeah, so I've been, kind of thinking about this heavily and going between, accuracy and hospitality. But I truly believe that I think hospitality has to be the number one priority because, again, if a guest order if there's a small mistake, maybe their pie was a little overcooked, maybe it was missing mushrooms on that second half. If they still had a good experience, they were warmly greeted, they were thanked, they had, to what Tanya's saying, that engagement with our team, that will get them to come back, right? We can win them back, we can earn them back. And there's a statistic that our director of ops shares that if a guest comes 3 times, they're pretty much a lifelong patron of yours. So again, they're going to be more lenient and forgivable of those mistakes. But again, if you're messing up orders and you're rude on top of it, you're really not doing yourself much service. So again, people will be more forgiving if you're smiling when you mess up their order than when you don't.
Yeah, I love that.
Right.
I mean, everyone makes mistakes. It's what you do after that, right? That's a great argument. Yeah. What about Chris? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd have to echo both Tanya and Nick. For us, everything that happens in a restaurant that's service related, whether that's cleanliness, food quality, speed, those are all important. But the difference for us between service and hospitality is service is what you do, hospitality is how your guest feels. And so even though we typically have very high ratings for hospitality, we focus on that. We want our operators to always find the places where the guest said the experience wasn't stellar and look at why that happened. Because to Nick's point, if you make a mistake, but you are genuine in your response and you try to repair that, your guest is going to feel a lot better about the brand. They listened to me, they want to know what happened, and they tried to fix it. Somebody making a mistake on not putting the sour cream in a burrito, that's not great, certainly, but that's repairable from a service standpoint. So for us, it's never forgetting that the hospitality is what gets guests to come back, whether their experience was perfect or that it wasn't perfect, but you tried to make it better.
Love that. Wow, great quote. I mean, all of you, golden nuggets today. I'm going to frame all of them, put on my wall. I love all these quotes from this session. All right, I guess last question before we get to our Q&A. Any exciting announcements or plans from your brand that you would love to share that our audience would love to know about?
Yeah.
I see you guys are excited. What's going on?
We're a positive bunch here. So yeah, we got a lot of things cooking. It's good.
Yeah, we just finished up a huge festival month between Coachella and Stagecoach. We have more in the pipeline. We're doing EDC in Vegas in a week and a half. But aside from that, we're just opening up, expanding in different, outside of LA. We have a location opening up in Tempe, in Dallas, in Charleston, in Miami. We have a second location in Toronto. So not only are we creating clusters around our current locations, but we're also expanding into new markets. So it's both extremely exciting and terrifying. So we are expanding quite quickly with a small team. And so naturally there's a lot of challenges, but we're really stoked. And so far the communities and all these new areas have really embraced us. We feel very lucky and fortunate to be a part of Prince Street.
Yeah.
And so we're just going along for the ride.
And I think to piggyback off of that, it's exciting to see the new leadership that's being selected and put in place for this. So for them, to really see it at the infancy stage from their training, and then, to see them open up their restaurants and have involvement with certain aspects of like festivals and outreach, community outreach. It's exciting. So we have a lot of good stuff. I applaud because naturally I'm a very positive person, but it's exciting. So we're going to hit that 20 really quick. And gosh, it's going to come before we know it. So it's very nice. Yeah, it's really cool to be a part of.
That's awesome. That's a fun journey. Well, speaking of growth, Tanya, you just came back from new store opening. So what's exciting over there at Angry Chickz?
Okay, so growth. I mean, we're being smart about our growth, which we all say that. Everybody in the fast food or in the food industry says we're being really smart about our growth. We really consider the location, who we've got in place on the ground. We just opened a franchise location in Houston, Texas, a couple of weeks ago. Tattle's been really helpful for us from that standpoint because it helps us make sure that we've got everything in check, and that we've done our job in training their team very well. And man, we have a phenomenal ops team. It's just watching what they've accomplished over the last year has been just amazing. So we have 8 more restaurants that will be opening this year. We just have so many initiatives, and so like the future is so bright for our team, and our leadership team is just such a phenomenal group of passionate people that, I mean, I just get excited talking about it. So I hope you guys get excited about me talking about Angry Chickz, because there's not enough good things I could say about this brand.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing a pattern here. Great leadership, great strategy, great growth plans, super exciting stuff. What about Miguel's Jr.?
Yeah, so for us as a brand, new restaurants are slow and steady. We did open our 23rd junior restaurant in Upland, California last November. It's been really successful. The great part about that was we leaned on that leader about Tattle's importance at the very jump. Even before the restaurant opened, he was working in other restaurants. When he opened Upland, they were producing 5 times more survey response than any other restaurant in the system. Now, granted, that's somewhat due to that it's brand new, but he's maintained that, and his ability to generate feedback, very specific feedback, actionable feedback, has been really powerful. For us this year, our focus is on standardizing all of our process and procedures. We've grown over the years. So we've got a program in place this year called Gold Standard, where we go back to restaurants and we start at the very beginning. How do we make beans and rice? And go all the way through to leadership training. And we're spending a significant amount of training time at each restaurant through the system over the next year to try and get everybody moving in the same direction reliably and consistently. And of course, Tattle allows us to see its impact. So our first Gold Standard restaurant finished about a month ago, and I can see impact in Tattle response already on a couple of the key metrics. So that's a really great way to measure that effort. And then over the next few years, we're always looking for locations that meet our brand. But because we are small and regional, we make all our own food. You won't see us in Illinois or Florida or New York anytime soon, even though some of our Tattle responses ask us to come out that way.
Love that. All your answers are actually a great segue to some of our audience questions. So the first one is from Brian. So all 3 of your brands are so fast growing. How do you lean on Tattle when opening up new locations or rolling out new items to make proactive change and identify trends in real time? Can take a minute to think about it.
I can go ahead and start on this one.
Perfect.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So for us, obviously, what I just referred to with our recent opening, that's been critical for us to get a very early understanding of what our guests think when a restaurant opens in a new area. But we also use the surveys on new promo items that are significant And so we'll ask a conditional question. Did you try this? If yes, then we ask a few more. That's been instrumental in understanding new items for us since we've had a focus of menu innovation over the last year. So we have launched products and menu items that are new for us. And that's been able for us to get very quick idea. Is this going well? Are we seeing an operational challenge? What is the guest sentiment overall of flavor? All those different things, price, value. So it's been really helpful for us to get a quick look on new product specifically.
Love that.
Yeah,
I'm going to echo what Chris. Oh, sorry, go. You go, Nick. It's all you.
Okay, I was just going to say, well, when we opened, to echo Chris, when we opened in Chicago as our most recent opening, our Tattle, it was like 5 times the amount of responses we got at any other location. People were very excited to share their positive and negative feedback, especially in a town that obviously has a strong pizza identity. A new brand like us, a New York style pizza brand coming into Chicago, we were, bracing ourselves for the feedback. So that kind of just happened organically as far as those reviews coming in. And again, to Chris's point about launching new items, when we launched our smoked mozzarella sticks, we started noticing that was not performing as well as some of our other items. We don't do a lot of fried foods. We are mainly pizza. And so that resulted in us obviously communicating with our teams and changing, hey, when you see an order that comes in with a 25-minute prep time, even though our Sicilian pizzas take 25 minutes to bake, those mozz sticks only take 3 minutes to fry up. It might be a better idea not to fry them up right when they hit the system. We obviously keep everything warm and warmers, but everyone knows that fried foods die very quickly. So having just that action item on the surveys has led to, change inside of our operations immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Now, Tonya.
Okay, so I'm just going to say I'm going to echo what both Chris and Nick said about this. From a new restaurant standpoint, it's always great to get information in that new market, just to kind of get a gauge of how your customers are relating to the brand overall. And then based on that feedback that you get, where you need to go in order for it to be more successful than it is right now. From a testing standpoint, we have a test that's starting next week in about 4 of our restaurants. And I love the fact that we can just modify the survey and get some real feedback on that product before we roll it out to the rest of our restaurants. And it helps us, again, not just from a marketing side, but also from an ops side. This platform really touches every part of our business if it's used properly. And we're trying to maximize it more and more as we go, because it seems like there's always something new. I don't know if this is the time to talk about it, but Isabella, you guys just launched this AI, the AI training coach, which we haven't started using it yet. I need to pull in our VP of Ops and our Director of Training for that. But just in what I saw about it, it has the potential to do some amazing things.
Yeah. Well, once you start using it, maybe we'll regroup and talk about the AI coach if we want to. But yeah, so far it's been very impressive. Like, I've been personally impressed by it. So thanks for bringing that up. I actually have a couple private questions coming in for the rest of the time. So this one question talks about rolling out a feedback platform. So what did your bandwidth look like? And also, how did you get buy-in from across the team? Nick, you look like you're ready.
I'm pondering. As far as the teams, all of our teams are very well versed in Tattle now. They know that if they get an email from me, and it's a forwarded Tattle review, they know to buckle up. But like I said, right now our GMs, all of our team members for that matter, really, really I think I want to say they bought in pretty quickly. I mean, again, because they saw that stark difference between that public platform where I think people are just way more a knee-jerk response, whether they had an excellent experience or just a super poor experience. Those are the people that jump to Yelp and Google. Whereas Tattle, again, with the length of the survey and the specificity of the questions, gave them that opportunity to really share their full experience. You just get a bigger picture, a more less tainted picture, if you will. And so because of that, naturally our GMs and AGMs had, in a way, more respect for Tattle, right? They took those responses more seriously, knowing that it wasn't this like a very intense, it wasn't coming from an intense place in an intense moment. So from that standpoint, it wasn't very hard for our teams to adopt. Right now, again, as I mentioned, it's just getting them to respond on their own. We're just slowly rolling out new tools for our GMs. We don't want to overwhelm them all at once. But, you know, to everyone's point was made earlier, the more that these GMs take ownership of their space, the more they perform and their stores just do better and they feel better.
Wonderful. Anything to add, Chris or Tanya?
Yeah, I would say that for us being a relatively small organization, and I came from a slightly larger one prior, my strategy in picking the solution, going through an RFP process, helped identify the right objectives. So identifying what problem, what solution, what effect you were going to have on the business first, and using that as the roadmap for designing the system, but also bringing in the right stakeholders here. We're small. I can see everybody out the window here. So meeting with each of the different department heads and saying, this is what we wanted to do. Am I getting this right? What am I missing? And then we also used a change management strategy of starting early in communication with our restaurant leaders. Hey, we want to do this. It's beneficial. Then a few weeks later, this is what it can do for you. Dripping them information so that by the time we're getting to launch planning, they are already aware of what it does. It's not new to them. There's not that knee-jerk response of, oh my God, something else. They were ready for it when we were ready to deploy it. And we felt like that produced a much higher level of adoption and less fight in the restaurant. And then always making sure that our selection of a program was operator focused. At the end of the day, this isn't for me. I don't have to use it every day like you do. So we wanted to make sure that the solution met the need of the operator and wasn't a waste of time for them. And so I think those things made it easy to get it deployed and then get it adopted. In terms of the overall time, I think for us, from selection to implementation was probably 90 days. A little bit less.
Very good practical tips. Tony, anything to add? Or
I'm just going to say that at the end of the day, we all want to be the best that we can be, and we want to equip our teams with the tools that they need in order for them to be the best that they can be. And so in terms of buy-in, a leadership team, of course, as you guys know, if you have a leadership team that is really excited and they talk about the opportunities that any rollout, whether it's a platform or, you know, a new product or whatever, if your leadership team and your district managers and your restaurant leaders can get excited, there's kind of a trickle down. I mean, that's what you're creating a culture. And so we really try to make sure that we're all on the same page moving forward. Once we make a decision on what we need to do, everybody buys into it. And then we just figure out the tactics. What has to happen in order for us to roll this out successfully? What do we have to do on our end in terms of being, you know, the training and how do we need to have these response templates set up? I'm going to say that in terms of rolling out Tattle, if you haven't rolled out Tattle, you definitely want to lean into the Tattle team because they are really helpful in onboarding the platform for you, and they'll give you some best practices. It was painless. It was a painless rollout. Let me just say that.
That's great to hear. Thank you so much. I think that concludes our live panel. Thank you all so much. It's been so fun. And I've personally learned so much. So thank you so much for your time. And also thank you everyone for joining us. Please stay tuned for our next webinar. But in the meantime, Have a great rest of your week and upcoming weekend, and hopefully I'll see you all soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everyone. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.